Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I am Hamza Idris. Thank you for joining us. Nigeria's democracy, the largest in Africa, is evolving with stakeholders in the polity follow with keen interest, alignments and realignments, especially in the wake and after a series of litigations arising from the 2023 elections. With initial worries over the alleged underground workings towards a one-party state to the unprecedented judgments delivered by the Supreme Court, and now talks around formation of a mega political party to checkmate the ruling party, APC. And while those elected at various levels of governance settle down to deliver on mandates given to them by the electorate, Nigerians are watching with interest how they resolve the lingering issues of insecurity, deepening poverty, cost of living crisis, official corruption, among other challenges. It is against this backdrop we'll be engaging Professor of Political Science from the National Open University of Nigeria, now Kamal Bello, and a Policy and Governance Professor from Nasarawa State University in the person of Professor Hussaini Tukur. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we're happy having you at this momentous time. Yes. But before we commence the conversation, here are some tidbits. The Royal Court in Jersey, an island of the United Kingdom, has seized nearly $9 million embezzled by Nigerian government officials under ex-President Goodluck Jonathan. The funds hidden in a Jersey bank account were part of a broader corrupt scheme involving the misappropriation of government funds intended for arms and aviation equipment purchases to combat the militant Boko Haram. The funds were transferred to Jersey in 2014, with authorities stating that it was likely that most of the funds allocated for arms deals between 2009 and 2015 were diverted through foreign bank accounts and shell companies to benefit family members of the former ruling party. And former President Muhammadu Buhari has explained why he did not sack the erstwhile governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, despite speculations surrounding his presidential ambition during the 2023 elections. Buhari disclosed that he did not remove Emefiele because of the absence of firm evidence that he was indeed pursuing a presidential ambition. Buhari revealed this in a memo titled Working with Buhari, Reflections of a Special Advisor, Media and Publicity, 2015 to 2023, written by his former Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, and presented to the public in Abuja on Tuesday. Yeah, welcome back again. Yes, props. Maybe I should start with you, Professor Hussain. You've seen our tidbits. Yeah. The first one was on the 9 million embezzled funds traced by no any other but the foreigners to now tell Nigerian government that, look, we have found this. Yeah. Was it a surprise to you?
It was a surprise because this is for the first time that foreigners are involved in finding out where such funds are located and then trying to inform Nigeria that these are the funds that exist and which are likely forms, SIM form from the public treasury to personal accounts. Yeah. So it's surprising. But another important issue which we should raise today is that during the era of President Buhari, we remember in New Jersey, the same Jersey in the United States,
yes,
funds were recovered to the extent of, I think, 110 or so.
Yeah, over 100, yeah.
Yes, over 100. And these funds, negotiation went on between the Nigerian government, the United States government, and a court in New Jersey. And the funds were returned. And we were told such funds will be used because of the agreement that was reached between the state Jersey, the US and Nigeria into providing public infrastructure, and specifically the Abuja Kaduna-Kano highway road was penciled down for use with that fund, and the second Niger bridge. But today, unfortunately, we thank God the second Niger bridge has been completed and has been inaugurated. But
even though some adjoining roads, that leads to Delta and all that.
Those ones were not part of the main project, so it's understandable. But the Kano-Kaduna route will explain that despite this fund and other funds allocated in the budget, yet no resource. And speculation was that today the completion requires over 1 trillion.
1 trillion, yeah.
So why should Nigerians have the right to ask what happened to the New Jersey funds? So this is also another example. So we may ask also that there are so many shell companies around, and there are many funds that were allocated to various security agencies, especially the military, for the purchase of equipment for the fight against Boko Haram and other criminality in Nigeria. So if such funds can be alleged to be part of the funds allocated for security purpose, then the question is, where are other funds?
Exactly. Maybe Professor Kamal should come in also. Is there a nexus between the persistent insecurity and then this, official, how key government officials are actually, cornering funds meant to procure arms in order to safeguard the whole of the country?
As far as I'm concerned, the issue of corruption in Nigeria is historical. Corruption in Nigeria did not start either under Buhari regime or Tinubu regime.
Or Jonathan.
It has been part and parcel of us. I'm sorry to say that. Right away from independence, there are cases of corruption, either at the regional level, even at the traditional, institutional level. We have had emirs that are alleged that are pilfering with the monies that belong to the emirate. So it's not new. The only thing that is maybe new is that from 1999 up to now, this Fourth Republic, it has been double, triple, and more than...
Maybe quadrupled.
Maybe quadrupled, because the checks and balances are not there like before.
They have collapsed?
Collapsed. Initially, if you're a public servant or a politician, if you buy a car or build a good house, you go and hide it as far as you are serving. You don't want anybody to know because you tarnish your image. But from 1999 to date, people flaunt their wealth.
They compete.
They compete. They show that they are rich, they have come. A clerk in the office, an officer who is not senior, maybe lower rank, is doing what a permanent secretary is supposed to be doing, or more than, without any spirit of shame. So the issue of corruption, and Buhari said it while he was in government, if you do not fight corruption or kill corruption, corruption will kill us.
But then you just mentioned Buhari, yes, and maybe Professor Hussein will come in now. You can see that MFLA is actually the talk of the town.
Definitely.
Yeah, everywhere. And once you Google MFLA, you see it's like maybe he will take an award. I don't know. Yes, but Buhari said he couldn't sack MFLA because there was no tangible evidence to prove that he was actually partisan politically.
Well, this is a response of the president who was in power, in charge, who was also in control with all corruption fighting agencies who have not made probably available before him some evidence. But in terms of engagement, political engagement, the right from office was evident to Nigerians.
He was heading somewhere.
Definitely. There is nobody that should have come before the president to say this as evidence. It was public. The man bought the form, filled the form and was trying to submit. Not only that, there are campaign groups around the same individual moving around the country explaining the need and the essence for the man to take over from the president. So what kind of evidence is required to say that, look, there is no evidence? At least for a sitting president, if there are speculation, there are rumors surrounding such an important office, I think the onus requires that you direct security agencies concerned to investigate and make information available for you to take a decision, because the central bank influence does not end in Nigeria. It goes beyond country, and it is an opening door for the world. So that is very critical for the president to have done something. If there is no evidence, the president could have at that time informed Nigerians that I don't have any evidence and there is no need for me to take action. Then that settles the matter.
Can we say it is an indictment on the president?
Definitely, in my view, it's an indictment.
And yes, Professor Kamal, there is this allegation that most of the funds recovered and that are being recovered are just simply being relooted by brand new, government officials.
Looters.
Yes. Would that be correct? And that is why we are not actually seeing the impacts of the recovery. Just as Prof. Hussein said that Kaduna, Kano Road, look at it, it is still there, even though there are abundant resources that were meant to be used in reconstructing the road.
I'm sorry to say, I'm not speaking for Buhari because I'm not his special advisor. But I give it to him in the sense that it's not only Emefiele that collected form to contest. The AGF, Attorney General of the Federation, he collected form that I want to contest election as governor in Kebbi. And the cars and everything were everywhere.
Just like the cars for Emefiele?
Like that car for Emefiele. And there are some others like that in government. I remember it was that time, people like Amechi were also campaigning underground. The Minister for State, for Education, also campaigning underground. But Buhari now made a pronouncement. As a leader, if you want to contest, resign. What happened? All of them pipe low, except one or two that resigned and went. I think Amechi resigned and left. Minister of State for Education left. At least we give it to him that he said, which is the law.
But don't you think he should have taken punitive measure?
No,
especially when, like Prof said, the evidence is, abound.
The punitive measure that everybody believes, sack him. Are you getting it?
Or to even ask him to go and face Nigerians, or to issue a statement, simple statement that I'm not interested in this.
He said, if you want to contest, are you getting, resign. That's what everybody pipe low. Those of them that have ambition, the thing died. Those whose ambition are higher, they resigned. Are you getting it? Yeah. The punitive measure in Nigeria is that I'm offended, I sack you. Is that enough? How do we recover the money that you have stolen? That is one. I'm sorry to say that Kano, Kaduna, Abuja road is not completed. Lokoja, Abuja road had been there during Obasanjo time. Up to this time we are talking. I think.
But allocations were made, of course, during Jonathan.
Yes.
Allocations were made during Buhari. We are now waiting for allocations
from Tinubu. It's not completed. Up to today. You made mention of what is it called? That's why I said the issue of corruption in Nigeria.
Even though we saw some semblance of work using these cook funds, right?
Yeah. They will use for cook funds. You will see it today. After doing 110 kilometers, the thing will stop. Until another time again, when they get another money, either bond, they will not use it. One, they will say loan. You made mention of the second Niger bridge. The bridge is completed, but the road leading to it and outside, it's not. The same thing, local Oweto. Buhari, Jonathan started, they completed it, they are cut short. Instead of when you are going to Enugu, you follow Nasarawa town, you come out in Oweto. from local. The roads too are not up to them. So what we are trying to say specifically is that it's not specific. The issue of Nigeria is fundamental, it's systemic, and it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and this brings us to the issue of our discussion today. You know, the issues in the Nigeria's political space. Prof, post-election litigations.
Yes.
Is it that we came out, all of us, bruised by the outcome of the judgments? I'm talking about the judges, the politicians, the electoral empire, and then the citizens. Are we all bruised, or there are winners and losers?
Well, we can say there are winners and losers, but we're all bruised. Winners, those who thought or believed that they had a case, they won election, but their umpire gave to others. And they had evidence. They went to court and they were successful through the series of appeal and so on and so forth. So these are the successful ones. Two, there are those who won at the election pronounced by the umpire, and at the end of the day, the court decided that they were not the winners. So those are the losers. But one important aspect in which we all are losers is the process of litigation leading to the final decision at the Supreme Court. Take, for instance, the judgment made, the pronouncement of the 8 cases before the Supreme Court. Take, for instance, an example from Zamfara. The previous cases that led to the cancellation of election by the APC primaries, leading to the main election, in which the governor and were sacked.
Top to bottom, yes. The governor, senators, now, reps and members, yeah.
Juxtapose that with that of Plateau. Same process. They were also lost because of series of problems within the party. Now take the pronouncement in the case of the Senate President, the former Senate President,
Ahmad
Lawan, the current Senate President, and then the Senate, a senator from Kebbi State, and some other cases in which these people did not participate in the electoral process. And the law was clear that if you do not participate, you cannot enjoy. And then suddenly the Supreme Court decided, which is a constitutional matter, that only a party has the right to present the candidate. Well and good. But the law that says there must be democratic participation within the party, there should be a democracy within the party, the selection process and the appointment process and so on and so forth, leading to the presentation of the candidate. That single pronouncement indicates clearly, and is a law today in Nigeria, that you can go into your party context and lose once the party at the national level decides any other person that did not participate in the democratic process leading to the election of a candidate of the party at a primary or at any caucus can be changed automatically.
And it's a dangerous precedent. Yeah.
By the implication, it means that a door has been opened, that there will be no need for any democratic process within political parties. Secondly, if you take the case of Plateau State, there is a court pronouncement that the faction that presented the parties, the candidates to the election, were not the genuine party or the legitimate ones. And therefore, based on that pronouncement, the lower courts decided that based on that decision, all those candidates who are presented were illegal. And therefore, the parties that contested must take over the seat. And that is what was clear. And that represents an example of what happened in the case of Zamfara. But today, that remains, that you can have factions at the lower level. Whatever pronouncement a court can make, once the Supreme Court decides, it means the pronouncement of those courts, as well as the existence of factions in the party, can remain legal. By implication, it means you count how many factions. Once a faction is not recognized, or a pronouncement is made by a court of competent jurisdiction that that is not the legitimate one, then that submission by the faction that is not legitimate can still prevail. That's the second aspect.
Very tough one, yes.
Then another important aspect to the whole saga is that today, the leadership of a national party is the owner and sole administrator of any political party.
Wow. How do you mean, Prof? Maybe.
It means that whatever decision that is taken at the lower level, irrespective of the party constitution, is irrespective of other laws like the Electoral Act and so on and so forth, once the party at the national level, in terms of its relation to the INEC, decides, all other are subsidiary and cannot prevail.
Wow, yes.
Another important aspect to that, by implication, is that at the national level, the leadership of any party, political party, can decide, without consideration of the constitution and procedure, to decide who should be the leaders of the party. That is another implication of that.
Okay, yes. Professor Kamal, what are some of the implications of some of these things? Because it's like political expediency is actually replacing rule of law. Is that correct? Based on what you said, yes. What is you are political, professor of political science?
One thing that I will still call our attention to,
yes,
is this issue of corruption.
Corruption.
Corruption in the system, and it's permeating. It's everywhere. I remember during the Buhari regime, he did what we call a sting operation on the judiciary. And people shouted that they are sacred cows. They should not be touched. Because sting operation means that you set somebody up and you catch him red-handed. That why should you be doing that to these people? And it's unfortunate for us in Nigeria that every 4 years, we continue to amend our constitution and amend our electoral law. This judgment by the courts now will call another attention for the amendment of the constitution.
Okay, some of the outcomes of the
it will lead to amendment of the constitution and amendment of the electoral law. Why do I say this? The politics I talk about and the corruption, which my brother now mentioned, that there was a time in 2019 or so when the judgment in Sampara by the Supreme Court, because of problem of primaries, nullify election from top to bottom. The similar thing happened now. They gave a different judgment, contrary to what was done by the same Supreme Court
in 2019.
In 2019. That's why I talk of corruption permeating everywhere.
Even though we are not discussing law, and I don't want to interrupt you, we brought a lawyer here, and
Yes.
He said there is actually a slightest difference between the case in Plateau and Zamfara.
Yes.
I asked him what the difference is. He said in Zamfara it was actually intra-party. It was a member of the party that went to court, and he succeeded, Senator Marapa, and that was why they brought down the whole structure.
Let me comment on this also. For instance, it's an internal matter. I'm sorry, Prof.
What happened in Imo?
Okay, maybe you shed more light, because you can see the conversation is getting interesting.
The same
So they said
2019.
in Plateau, they call them meddlesome interlopers, because it is APC that went to court and said that PDP doesn't have structure at the local, state.
Why I said electoral law and the constitution will be amended again based on this judgment. From the tribunal to the High Court, to the Appeal Court, the judgment favored House of Assemblies, it favored the senators and representatives. But the electoral law says all those cases, hence at Appeal Court, it's only governor and president that will get to the Supreme. It was the Supreme that changed this. So they will now amend again and say every case now should go to Supreme Court as well.
And some people are also advocating for having Supreme Courts at the state level.
That's what I'm saying, at state level, because of this judgment. At the state level, the State of Assembly, House of Representatives, Senate, all of them are back now.
So are we loading it, on the courts? Because we can't settle ourselves. I mean, you teach politics, you teach policy, and then politicians are there. Is it that all of you are not getting it right? That we all resort to courts?
We cannot get it right. I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
We may not get it right. I've said it that from the foundation of Nigeria, the issue of outwitting one another, which we call corruption, has been there.
But every country starts somewhere.
No,
but the democracy is evolving. But ours is like it is evolving in reverse gear.
Why you say,
maybe Professor should come in also.
Why you say evolving?
Yes.
Agreed, it's evolving. But as you have said, it's our own is as if it's
reverse gear.
Reverse gear.
Okay, Prof, let's hear you. Yes.
You see, in every society has its problem, it has its challenges, and every society struggles to overcome those challenges. But there are peculiarities generally that you see in the development of each society. Ours is different because we do not have an elite consensus generally in almost all issues that are of national importance.
No consensus?
No consensus. We may have consensus that we should all fight corruption. It's a consensus on the terms that we should, but there is no consensus on how to fight corruption. What should be the issues and how do we handle the issues? Now, in every matter, that issue arises. And that is why the intent, the moral intent of the law, or the processes and procedure are different from the intent of implementers, who are the politicians, who are government officials, who are Nigerians too. And therefore, when you do not have national values that are acceptable, and that each and every individual citizen striving to ensure that that is adhered to and attained, then you will not have to achieve anything. Why do we say we are all evolving? Is that because we refuse to ensure that the provision of the law are adhered to, and that's why we continue to evolve. We will not evolve because we are not ready to evolve. The countries that succeed are countries that believe in their nation, believe in the processes and procedure, ensure that they adhere to, control measures and mechanisms are adhered to, and then everyone in peace. Take our roads today. When there is a blockage, everyone will find a way out, irrespective of whether all of us will sleep on that portion, because we will naturally block the road. And we are ready to do this consistently. And in all our activities, that's what we do. And then we ask the question, are we different from others that progress? Yes, we are, because we are not ready to progress. And these are the ingredients that others apply to move ahead. We are not. We are also human beings like any. We have the capacity, we have the zeal and the determination. But the capacity, the zeal and determination is used negatively.
Start. Okay, we'll go on a short break, props, and we'll be back shortly. Viewers, don't go away, we'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you are just joining, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. We still have in the studio Professor Kamal Bello from the National Open University of Nigeria. He's a professor of political science, and then Professor Hussaini Tukur from Nasarawa State University. He's a professor of public policy analysis. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm now heading to you, Professor Kamal. Some believe that the Supreme Court was so hard on the Court of Appeal, especially in respect to the Plateau, and it did that just to save its image, but that all this will boomerang because it's like dog eats dog of sort. Could that be correct?
Because, there's one thing about the judiciary. Because when we are talking of arms of government, and they say it's a law that you cannot criticize, because it's the last resort. The legislative will make the law, the executive will implement, and judiciary will interpret. Now, whatever they interpret at the Supreme Court level is final.
So it's supreme.
It's supreme. So it's only, and that is why in the local parlance, people don't like to do job of alkali because they say it's hard you can enter paradise. Because yes,
it's easier for needle, for camel to pass through the needle eye than for a judge to enter heaven.
Because it's God is the last judge, and whatever judgment that someone does, we just say, "Oh, I just did it based on my limited exposure and facts and figures." Having said that, that's why I don't want to talk too much on the judiciary.
I agree with you. Yes.
Having said that,
so that it will not be sub judice also.
What is it called? Democracy is simply described as a rule of law, whereby it's the law that rules. We have not gotten to that stage in Nigeria where the law rules. We still manipulate ourselves, we escape, we defend ourselves, and so on and so forth. Until we get to that stage. All other developed countries in the world, the elites, the cream of the society, the best is what they call the elites, either in business, either in religion, either in politics, either in education. Then let us examine which of these elites are doing the best in the areas they are specialists. Is it we that in academia, how are we running the university system? And that's where the brains are. Professors, PhD holders, and so on and so forth. And we cannot manipulate to make sure that that place is a role model for others to come. It's cases, different cases you'll be hearing of one corruption or the other. Ditto for business. We want to do contract, we want to collect contract that will not execute. We want to collect contract that will execute halfway. We want to sell properties that is half-baked, and so on and so forth. Religion, the same thing. People are deceiving one another with miracle, and so on and so forth. Because in those days, when we were young, 3 sets of people are respected in the society. Religious man, imam, the rich, and the intellectual, the teachers.
But now politicians have taken over.
They are respected. We are not respecting politicians this day. We are only trying to exploit their low IQ to collect their money. We go to their house.
So could this be self-indictment, Prof?
Yes.
Let me come to you, because there is this belief that you professors from the universities actually aid and abet all the shortcomings of the politicians, because you preside over elections and all that. I want you to link this with actually whether what happened
let him
now.
say something.
Yes, whether the politicians will now be ready to actually start addressing the issue of poverty, cost of living, and many other issues in the society.
Not all intellectual or academicians are corrupt. Not all.
Not all.
Okay, not all. Yes. But they are corrupt.
Yes.
Of course, every sector of the society,
every society, every
kind of people that behave anyhow. They are not exception to any sector. That's a fact. And Professor Kamal has tried to explain by giving example that if you look at each of the sectors, you will find this element. But having said that what is very, very vital in any society is that the knowledge that that society has, does it apply it to improve the living condition of people? The opportunities that people have, do they utilize those opportunities for the benefit of other people? Not only in your community, but wherever you find yourself. That is very, very important. Do our leaders, politicians, and any other leaders utilize the vast resources that exist in our tertiary institution, not only the university? Do researches that have been conducted over the years, which are capable of advancing society, are they utilized? Or are there available resources that you can deploy to conduct research that will solve so many societies' problems? This is very, very important. And then you ask yourself, is the society organized towards addressing fundamental problems of the society or glossing over them? And these are the issues. Are politicians interested in addressing poverty?
Yes, and this is where I want you to actually talk now. 7 months into the first term of some, second term of others. From May, when they were sworn in, now we are in January, over 7 months.
I don't think in the Nigerian system you can judge the alleviation of poverty or a long-term resolution of problem just by mere 5 or 6 years. If you take, for instance, the period of Obasanjo, that's 1999 to 2017, you take that of Buhari from 15, which is complete 8 years, and you take the staggered period of Yar'Adua, and you also bring all their agenda. That means the program is proposed to address and resolve. Take, for instance, Obasanjo's program. I cannot even remember some of them, but I know
Needs
is an offshoot. Yes, it's an offshoot of one program. Let's take NICS, for instance. Under NICS, it is claimed that in the next 4 years, our 6 million jobs will be created. We haven't seen them. Take, for instance, that one. And these jobs were geared toward addressing poverty, generating employment. Take, for instance, the Empower. Take, for instance, the social intervention programs. And you ask yourself, if there are funds that have been committed, what are the indices that somebody should see in reality to say, look, there is an improvement? All, I mean, from 1999 up to date.
Almost 25 years.
So we cannot just judge a particular government in power in the next, but we also have hope, like we had hope in the previous governments. You remember the inauguration of democracy in 1999, we say Obasanjo must perform a miracle because of the problem he took over with. Then when Jonathan came, we had that also ambition, that we have a phase has gone, and then we generated confidence that we also have a resolution of many of our problems. And today, after a regime that lasted 8 years with so many promises to fight corruption, improve the economy, and fight insecurity, we are in the same place. Now we have promises arising from the increase in fuel price, as well as the situation in which we find ourselves, deteriorating living condition. Then we have a promise made by the president in a broadcast that covers almost every aspect of our poverty reduction, agriculture, and so on and so forth. The question you will ask today is that in the last 6 months, do we have a clear direction of where we are going, so that we can say there could be a difference between what others have promised and the direction they have followed, and what will be the outcome. I hope that one will be different.
Okay. Prof. Kamal, do you have something to add?
Yes.
The politicians, do you think they are ready to actually face the teething problem?
Yes, I want to.
Hunger, joblessness, insecurity. You can see even Abuja now is actually red zone.
I want to make a kind of a digression, side comment.
Okay, fine.
One, alleging the intellectuals, professors, that they are heading and abetting rig election.
I didn't say it, actually. It is the people, yes.
It's the perception. And, most of our perception in Nigeria is like a social media perception, a kind of mob perception with no serious thinking. Because election in Nigeria starts from the polling booth. Somebody is the polling agent, somebody is polling orderly, somebody is polling clerk. From there, it moves to collation center. Collation at the ward level, collation at the local government level, collation at senatorial level before it comes to the state or federal. What the professors do is just to announce what you did at those levels. Professors cannot come down to the polling booth and change mark.
But they were accused of being caught. You know, look at what happened in Adamawa.
I said, no, it's not the alleged person is the RO, the electoral officer there that was alleged. It's not professor.
But they said the professor to some extent.
That
report, you know, we don't even know where it is now.
What we are doing, sir, what we are saying, sir, is that let's be scientific.
In our approach.
In our approach. If one state out of 36 states get problem, another professors are there, they announce. We should not take that to rubbish all professors.
There was another issue in 2019 in Imo.
It will be one, it will be isolated cases. There's no perfection. In research, you give degree of freedom, of mistake, of error. So if there's error, we can cut down to the error. What we call in law, exceptions. There should be exception. But we are taking exception of one case out of 100 or million.
To generalize
And say, no, this is this, this is that. So Appin said that, sir. The issue of politician, elites, we have elites, as I've said, even the academia. My colleagues say that we carry out research. It's not being used. They say charity begins at home. Me, I do challenge my colleagues. Charity begins at home. Why can't we research on how to make our university better first? Before we are not thinking on how to make Nigerian society better. You understand what I'm trying to say? In the marketplaces too, the market people compromise and said to us compromise goods and services. In the churches and mosques, our leaders, pastors and imams, they compromise and give us less service spiritually. That is where my point is.
BC Akande said almost every other person, everyone in Nigeria is corrupt.
So what unless we all of us sit down and accept our fault, and then we continue and stop blame game. It's not me, it's him. It's him that is corrupt.
So all of us.
When I start to do a kind of sensitization and correction, when the last regime, they say, change begins with me.
Now they say renewed hope. Okay, Prof. They're talking about mega parties now. Maybe they have accepted the defeat because it has reached the Supreme Court. Atiku, Obi, Konkoso, and many others. Pat Utomi, the Prof. They say they are coming with a mega party. Do you think they will succeed?
Well, let's see what happened in the past in the First Republic. And then we will also look at the Second Republic finally. And let's take, for instance, the alliances in the First Republic. They are also an effort by politicians, not to create mega parties, but to win election. Even the idea of mega party today is not to develop Nigeria, but to defeat the ruling party today.
So self-serving of sorts?
So that's the history.
Okay.
Alliance, merger were done for the purpose of removing the incumbent in power for reasons that will be better than them. Whereas politics is about power, the use of power, and the retention of power. And that is what they are fighting for. Take, for instance, what happened just 2 years before the 2015 election.
2013, yes.
2013. Who came together to form political parties? And that political parties was to do what? To wrestle power from PDP. And when they did, where are the promises that were made? Have they been fulfilled?
Big question.
Today, we are having the same idea to congregate and have a formidable party that will face the ruling party. To do what? To wrestle power. With the hindsight of what happened in the First Republic, the Second Republic, and what happened recently with the merger that culminated into APC, today the question you will ask, is it the same people? Is it the same idea? Or is it for power?
Big question. And talking about ideology now, we are rounding up the program. I want to have your take. When are we going to have ideology? Based on what Prof said, it's just about grabbing and retaining power. Nothing more. Ideology.
The concept of ideology in our politics is not there. I wrote a book on ideological bankruptcy.
Ideological bankruptcy.
In the political practice of Nigeria. The genesis, the magnitude, the causes, the genesis, that's genesis, then the magnitude and the consequences.
What the final finding in the book?
The final finding is that we lost ideology in under Babangida regime when he formed two parties. You don't form parties. It's the people of like minds who's supposed to come. Not institute APC, PD.
But some people
NRC.
came and formed APC. You know, they formed PDP.
These are people. I said,
have they made any difference?
The government should not impose. Are you getting it?
Yes.
That's why we found it. We missed it. In the First Republic, Second Republic, people are still talking about ideology. But towards the Third Republic or aborted Third Republic, when they instituted NRC and SDP, we have not come out of it up to today. That ideology has eluded us.
So have you made some prescriptions as to how they can revive that concept of ideology? We have it in UK. To some extent, we have it in the United States.
You may have some parties that are local or that are lower. Some can control one local government. A party can control one state. Like APGA. It's controlling Anambra alone for a long time. Are you getting it?
And NPP is coming now in Kano.
NPP is coming in Kano now. Are you getting it? So you can have multi-parties, but under controlling one state, controlling some local government.
Is it good for the polity?
It's good for democracy.
Against mega party?
It's mega party. The issue of mega party, my colleague has said it here, that most of our mega party is to grab power. It's not for any serious ideology. And when you are going to grab power, power in Nigeria is not the power authoritative, but the resource is there. We created, there was a time, this Orosaya, he said what we are using to fund public service in Nigeria is more than 70% of our budget.
Sad.
And up to today,
I wish you have more time.
And up to today,
okay,
we have not been able to reduce our funding.
Cost of governance.
Cost of governance.
Okay, thank you, Prof. This ideology, vis-a-vis service delivery, because the ultimate is how to reduce poverty. So what can you tell the politicians? They have 3.5 years now. What can they do differently beyond forming mega party, beyond the issue of ideology, so that the poor man in our villages, will feel the impact of government? And this should be in less than 1 minute, because
it's very important for every politician to realize that providing services, goods and services, ensuring security is the essence of government. If you cannot provide water, electricity, education, services in the hospital, in offices, efficiently, and that your duty is to ensure that it is done, not allocating resources, and there will be no end to the complaints and also yearning for good services.
So they should go back to those.
To the drawing board, do the right thing.
All right. Thank you very much. I wish we have more time. Yeah. Yes, Professor Hussaini Tukur, Professor of Public Policy and Analysis from Nasarawa State University, for coming to the program and for your informed perspective.
Thank you.
We have to have you again. Yeah. Yes, Professor Kamal Bello, Professor of Political Science, National Open University. Thank you for coming to the program and for your informed perspective. And viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We sincerely hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics live, airing every weekday, and our special package on Friday, during which we open our telephone line for you to comment on national issues. Once again, thank you very much for being with us. I'm Hamza Idris. Bye-bye for now.